With today's signing of the landmark Americans for Disabilities Act, every man, woman, and child with a disability can now pass through once closed doors into a bright new era of equality, independence, and freedom.
That's President George H.W. Bush changing the lives of millions of Americans. That in the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act nearly 30 years ago. The act prohibited discrimination against people with disabilities, and it's the reason today that it's normal to see wheelchair ramps and lifts and service animals allowed in businesses. This past hour, a group of beneficiaries paying tribute to the former president. He, of course, lying in state in the Capitol Rotunda. Another person whose life has changed, Democratic Congressman Jim Langevin. He became the first person, you see it right there, in a wheelchair to preside over the House of Representatives. That was the 20th anniversary of the ADA signing, and Congressman Langevin joins me now from Providence, Rhode Island. Congressman, put the achievement of this president, who we are saying farewell to, put it into context. How did it change this country?
Well, first of all, I want to extend my sincere condolences to the Bush family on the loss of President Bush, 41. He was an extraordinary individual, and it changed the lives of so many people with disabilities, myself included, and it still is one of the real most profound legacies of his presidency, and for which I am very grateful.
Later in life, the president himself was in a wheelchair. He was a friend of the community, if you will, who became a member of the community. But back at the beginning, what was it? What was it that he was a fit man, he was an athlete? What was it that convinced George H.W. Bush? I know there were Democrats in Congress, Tom Harkin, Republicans in Congress as well, including Senator Dole. But what was it that convinced him this is something I'm going to take the risk and do?
Well, President Bush clearly recognized that disabilities don't discriminate on the basis of political party or race or income status, that disabilities actually have a unique ability to unite us, and that's exactly what President Bush did. He reached out across party lines, and he brought together people from different political backgrounds and people both in and out of politics, and they forged together the real civil rights law of our time that a profound difference in the lives of people with disabilities, as he said, so that doors, once closed doors, are now open to people to realize their full potential. I am certainly the beneficiary of that law. I was injured a full 10 years before the ADA was passed. I had a spinal cord injury, and so I know what the world was like before the ADA was passed, and many closed doors and opportunities that I could not pursue. And then after the ADA was enacted, the world did change over time, and more doors are open. And I had the privilege of meeting him back in 2008 in the Oval Office when President George W. Bush signed into law the ADA Amendments Act, and because the court said weaken the ADA over time, and the ADA Amendments Act reaffirmed the original promise of the ADA. And President George H.W. Bush was there as well for the signing. And I had the privilege of talking to him and thanking him personally for getting behind that law and seeing it enacted. And I said I may not be serving in Congress had that bill not been signed into law.
Well, that in and of itself is one thing. That we talked on that day when you were presiding over the House and you went up the lift that was built into the rostrum. The Democrats are taking control of the House in January, so I assume, I'm wondering if you've already talked to Leader Pelosi about when you get your next opportunity.
As a matter of fact, Leader Pelosi and I have already spoken about that. It was certainly one of the highest and biggest honors of my time in political office, and being able to preside over the U.S. House of Representatives on the 20th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And Leader Pelosi and I very recently spoke about that, and what a meaningful moment it was, certainly for me personally, how honored I was. And I'm excited about the prospect of presiding once again. And she said that we have to make sure that happens very early on in the new session, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. I'm excited about. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the few seconds we have left, how important is it for members of the community to see a congressman, to see a president who are part of their community, who are going about their day-to-day business with dignity and humor and fun?
People with disabilities have so much to offer, and no one should be denied the opportunity to offer their talents, their skills, and to realize their goals and their dreams. Unfortunately, still, we haven't fully realized the full promise of the ADA. We have work to do, Too many people are still denied the opportunity to have access to public housing and transportation and work opportunities. Again, many barriers have come down, but
Congressman, I'm sorry we're at the top of the
working on
hour. I
that.
need to stop you, but amen. I'll
Okay.
bring you back on. I'm very sorry. Thank you for watching us today.
That's
Beyond
right.
Kill
Thank you.
starts